I asked my stepson to stay away from my life and my family. I can't stand him. The day Michael and his son moved in, I knew peace would become a rare and precious thing. My husband assured me that it would be fine, that Dylan just needed some time to adjust. Adjust? The boy was nearly 18, far too old to be moping around the house like some abandoned stray. Yet, there he was, sulking through the corridors, touching things that weren't his, leaving his careless fingerprints on my mirrors, my bookshelves, my life. Every time I saw him slouched against the counter in the kitchen, rummaging through my neatly organized cabinets, a cold spike of irritation shot through me. He didn't belong here, not in my home, not in my world. Tonight, Michael was working late, and the thought of being alone with Dylan set my nerves on edge. I tried to immerse myself in a book, curl up on the sofa, let the hours pass until Michael returned. But there was no escaping him. The boy had a way of moving so quietly that he almost seemed to materialize in doorways, in corners. Just when I thought I was alone, I'd look up and catch him staring, watching with those dark, unreadable eyes. "Something you need, Dylan?" I asked sharply, my voice barely concealing my disdain. I hated the way his name felt in my mouth, heavy, unwanted. He just shrugged, that insufferable half-smile playing at his lips. There was something so unsettlingly deliberate about him, like he knew exactly how to get under my skin, how to linger just close enough to make my pulse quicken. "Just passing through," he murmured, not breaking eye contact. His voice was soft, almost mocking, and I felt a strange shiver run through me. He was always just passing through, drifting aimlessly from room to room, invading my carefully constructed life. It was as if he were some quiet predator, prowling the edges of my existence, waiting for an invitation to push deeper. "I've asked you to knock if you need something." My voice sounded colder than I intended, but I didn't care. "Or is that a concept too difficult for you to grasp?" He didn't reply, only tilted his head slightly, his gaze narrowing as if studying me. I hated how unnervingly still he could be, standing there like a shadow, unruffled by my hostility. I wanted him to flinch, to look away, to feel the sting of my resentment the way I felt the sting of his presence in my home. After a long, loaded silence, he finally spoke. "Do you really hate me that much?" His tone was even, quiet, and I almost flinched at the calm way he said it. He wasn't angry or hurt, just curious, as though he found my hatred vaguely amusing. I wanted to laugh, to shake my head, to say something biting and dismissive, but the words caught in my throat. I hated that he could see through me so easily, that he could pull apart my carefully maintained facade with a single question. I hated the way he looked at me, like he could see right through the layers of resentment and control I'd built around myself. "Don't flatter yourself, Dylan," I managed, my voice icy. "You're a guest here, don't forget that." Something dark flashed across his face, gone in an instant, replaced by that maddening calm. "A guest?" he echoed, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. Funny, I thought it was family now. That word family felt like a slap. It was a word I held close, reserved, something I'd built with Michael, something that didn't belong to Dylan or anyone else. The thought of sharing it, of extending it to him, felt wrong. Tainted. As he turned to leave, I felt a wave of something rise in me, a strange, nameless anger that surprised even me. "Wait," I said sharply, the word escaping before I could stop it. He paused, looking back over his shoulder with that infuriating calm, as if he'd known all along I wouldn't let him walk away. He had this way of staying just on the edge of things, never quite within reach, but never far enough to ignore. It was like he wanted to be confronted, wanted me to crack the veneer, to let him see whatever lay beneath. "Just stay out of my way," I said, my voice trembling slightly. It wasn't a request, but a demand, one that sounded brittle and hollow even to my own ears. "Stay out of my life, out of my things, out of everything." He didn't answer, only held my gaze for a long, unnerving moment before nodding. "As you wish," he murmured, his voice a ghostly echo that lingered long after he'd left the room. But even as he disappeared down the hall, I knew it wouldn't end there. Because the truth, the ugly truth I kept buried, was that he wasn't going anywhere. He'd found a way in into my home, into my mind. He was no longer just an intruder. He was a presence I couldn't shake, a constant, simmering reminder of something deeper, something darker. And even as I watched him leave, I knew that he was leaving a part of himself behind, a quiet, insidious whisper that would haunt every corner of my life.